It is December 11th, 2022, and today I turn 23.
It is December 11th, 2023, and today I turn 24.
At this exact moment, I currently have 13,870 subscribers on YouTube.
Honestly, this year, I've not really checked my analytics in too much detail, but I'm currently at 14,247 subscribers on YouTube.
Right now, I am only using the Canon R6 along with RF lenses. What you're seeing right now is filmed with the Canon RF 50mm f1.8 and the Rode NTG4+. For my vlogs, I use a Canon R6 with a 15-35mm f2.8 along with the Rode VideoMic NTG.
Last year, I downscaled my gear locker quite a lot, but currently we're shooting on the Canon R6 as my primary camera. That being said, I actually also have a Canon R7 as a secondary camera, and maybe to your surprise, I only have 4 lenses. I am currently shooting on the Canon RF 15-35 f2.8. I also use a 50mm f1.8, an 85mm f2, and a 100-400mm lens. For microphones, what you are listening to is the Sennheiser MKH416. For my desk microphone, I use the Electro Voice RE20, and for vlogs, I use the Sennheiser MKE400.
The piece of technology that I'm craving for as of this moment right here and right now is the Sennheiser MKH50, which is a condenser shotgun microphone. Basically a better version of the microphone that I'm using right now in this sort of scenario, hence why I crave that item.
I would consider myself quite satisfied with the gear of which I own. However, I would say if I could have one dream microphone, it would be the Sennheiser MKH50, and my dream lens at the moment is the Canon RF 24mm f1.8.
As someone who started out in the gaming space and then saw huge success in the vlogging space, and now making short form cinematic content which is educational, I've experienced many different shifts in the platform, but also in my workflow and in my real life because of the drastic changes that I've had to make sure the content comes first. It's so easy to see a skyrocket in numbers and to be on this throne in the clouds, but sometimes when those numbers start to drop, the emotion, the burnout, the sadness that comes and follows, it's devastating. And for me, over the past year, that's something that I felt so close to the heart.
The advice that I would give to upcoming creators or YouTubers or filmmakers shifts almost every year. Currently, my focus this past year has been creating content that I want to make, forgetting the algorithm. Yeah, I could have made 100 transgender topic videos this past year, but this year has been a wild ride. And because of that, I have felt this level of fulfillment that otherwise I wouldn't have felt when it comes to the movies that I produce. As a filmmaker, I feel like your main priority is to make sure that the audience feels like they're a part of the story. And having emotion, and editing in emotion, and writing for emotion is so important because it just enhances the experience for you, the viewer, but also it enables me to open up as a creator and for you to be able to see that and understand my perspectives on life and my journey.
One of the new places that I visited this year was Glasgow. I've been to Scotland, I've even been to Aberdeen, but I had never gone to Glasgow before. But this year, I went to Glasgow, I was invited by the BBC to partake in a TV show for BBC One, and I tell you what, I was sold when they said Glasgow, but when I arrived in Glasgow, I love the city. I love the city. It was so majestic and so beautiful.
I haven't had any opportunities to travel to any new places, which in itself is kind of sad, but it has enabled me to discover and explore places that I already know. A location that comes to mind is Bournemouth, a city on the south coast of England, which is only a few miles away from this studio. I even had the opportunity to explore their hospital. You know, chloramine gas poisoning earlier this year? good time. It was a good time. It's been so cool to rediscover a location that I already know and to be able to find lots of new filming locations that I've been able to implement into the videos this past year.
The one thing that I consider my biggest achievement for this year is the fact that I finally, after 3 years, put on a Pride event.
I think we all know what my biggest achievement was this year. And if you have been living under a rock, well, if you didn't know, I was elected into office as a town councillor. I'm a politician, baby. That was so cringe. I've only been in office for, 9 months? And I'm really enjoying it. I'm on the Policy and Resources Committee, I'm on the Amenities Committee, I'm on the Events and Christmas Committee, I'm part of the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group, which is pretty cool, and I'm probably forgetting a fair amount right now. So yeah, you better watch out, Councillor Phillips is in the block. I really should stop trying to be down with the kids.
I think the majority of people have this dream, this end goal in mind, and I have one too. But for me, every year, this end goal changes, and every year I change myself to try and make it so I achieve this end goal, and it's something that I don't think I'll ever necessarily achieve. Now, I know that sounds depressing, even for me to say that I'm never gonna reach my final destination, but I do believe that's good. I think it's a good idea that you're always chasing something down. However, this endgame that I want to have in my palms isn't something that is completely out of my reach, but it's all about trying to get to the destination and making the journey the best that it possibly can be. Yes, I have a great group of friends around me. Yes, I am fulfilled in my career, but I'm not quite satisfied with where I currently am.
My emotional well-being this past year has been up and down. And I understand that most people don't have a consistent state of permanent happiness, but this year, I've had to deal with stress like none other. I feel like I'm barely holding on to my own narrative. Everything just feels such like an arm reach away, and I'm barely keeping my head above the surface. Really, I still don't think I'm happy. I feel like maybe I'm getting there. I feel like in a few more years, maybe, but not quite yet. It's sad, but with everything going on in my life right now, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to stay calm and collected and find time to make videos, and I don't know. I'm just not quite where I want to be. But who knows? Another year, maybe 2. I'll be on that high road eventually. Fingers crossed.
As much as this sounds cliche, I think the life lesson that I came to learn this year is not to take anything for granted. Everything can go in a click of a finger, and I think for me that really sums up this year. I mean, this time last year, I didn't think that I would be living in my own place, but here we are.
A valuable life lesson that I learned this past year is that life can change in a beat of a heart. Quite literally. Who knew that I would lose someone in my life who was very important to my family? And then who knew that I'd be arranging a funeral for another individual just a few months later? My connection with people passing is a very odd experience. And I'm so grateful that I'm able to have a great support network around me and a therapist who is absolutely incredible. It's just so scary that how one day can be so bright and so fluffy, and then the next can be the end of the line for another.
The quote that really sums up this year is a quote by Albert Einstein. If you want to live a happy life, tie it to a goal, not to people or things. And this quote for me completely encapsulates this past year.
The quote that I think summarizes this year best is by Roy T. Bennett. Success is not about how high you climb. It's about how you make a positive difference to the world.